You know, it occurred to me when I first planned to make this video that this could be not only the first, but the last time I rank these Mission Impossible films. What's up everyone, my name is Ryan, welcome back or welcome to my channel. So a couple nights ago I was able to see the final Mission Impossible film, The Final Reckoning. So today I'm going to go through and rank all 8 Mission Impossible films. This franchise is just one of the most consistent, entertaining franchises out there. Super excited to talk about this, but before I do, I want to mention something. I talked about this in my previous video in my actual Mission Impossible Final Reckoning review, which if you want to watch that, I'll leave that link down below. But Avengers Doomsday has been delayed to December 2026, and if you've been following me, you know that I just started going through and reviewing all the movies in the MCU to eventually do a ranking or a tier list, and I was gonna wait until Doomsday came out to do that, but now it's gonna be even longer, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do a full ranking of all 37 films, including Fantastic Four, when I finish the project. I said in my previous video that I'm gonna do it after Fantastic Four comes out, but there's no way I'm finishing that project in time, so it will include the Fantastic Four first steps, but it will come out after I've finished going through all the films. But with that out of the way, let's jump into my ranking of all 8 Mission Impossible films. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you have not seen any of the Mission Impossible films, especially The Final Reckoning, do not watch this video. Or if you don't care, proceed. Last place for me is going to be Mission Impossible 2. Now, I don't think this is a bad film. I think this is an okay film, actually. But this is one of those films that it's fine if I had to watch it, like if my friend group wanted to have a movie night of this film, I wouldn't be against it. I would go, I'd join them, I'd have a good time watching the film, but it's a film where if I don't have to watch it, I prefer not to, and they never really revisit this film. I don't think there's any references to any events that took place in this film, any characters that appeared in this film. There's no references to them in the rest of the films. This is the only Mission Impossible film I've only seen once. All I remember about it is that there was some romance with this random girl, and there was some good action sequences, but other than that, I remember nothing about this film. Like I said, not a bad film, but definitely the weakest in the franchise, and I don't know if I'll ever revisit this one. Next up is going to be Mission Impossible 3. Now, this is a film that's just kind of there for me. I know a lot of people love this film, and I understand why. Philip Seymour Hoffman is a really good villain. That scene on the plane when he's captured, and he's just not fazed at all by Ethan and his team capturing him, and he's like, "Do you have a girlfriend or a wife? I'm gonna find her. I'm gonna hurt her." Like, he's completely unfazed and just threatening Ethan to his face. And the stakes are very personal because Ethan gets married in this film. He has a wife who is threatened and is captured towards the end of the film that he has to go save. And I love how in The Final Reckoning, you know, the object they're trying to track down in this film is referred to as the rabbit's foot, and we never really get it explained what it is, but in The Final Reckoning they explain that it had something to do with the entity, I don't remember, but I like how they finally explained what that was, and it came back around like a lot of things in this franchise did in that film. So I do enjoy this film for a lot of the same reasons other people do, but it doesn't really pop all that much. The stuff that this film does well, I think it does it good, but I don't think it's great, anything phenomenal. This film is just kind of there for me. Number 6 is the original Mission Impossible. A pretty fun film that I think holds up pretty decently today. It came out in 1996. This is the first time we are introduced to Ethan Hunt and some of the characters in this franchise, like Luther. It's fun to get introduced to these characters, and it's a pretty interesting story. Ethan's whole team is killed in the beginning, and he's framed for all their murders, so he has to figure out what really happened, what really went down that night. This film, like a lot of other films in this franchise, does a really good job of making you hold your breath and putting Ethan in these situations that are very dangerous, where he could almost get caught, the mission could go awry, something could go wrong. And I think this film has some pretty decent reveals come the end. Nothing phenomenal or anything like that, nothing too emotionally powerful or anything, but I did find it much more fun than the third one, so that's why it's above it. And then we have Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, the 4th film in the franchise, which is when this franchise took off. The first three Mission Impossible films were overall fine films to me, but they really did nothing phenomenal, like I said. But Ghost Protocol, this is when I started to really like this franchise. In the first three films, I felt like Ethan Hunt's character wasn't super likable. I did like him, but there were these moments where I felt like he was cocky and he felt like he was like a person who thought he was all that, you know, that type of person. But starting with the fourth film onwards, I think Ethan is a much more humble and mature and serious character. And this is where the crazy stunts start. The stuff that Tom Cruise does in these films is crazy and amazing. And you know the sequence I'm talking about if you've seen this film, or even if you've seen a poster for this film. Him dangling off the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa. Amazing sequence. The film also has a really good cast. We get Jeremy Renner as Brandt, and Simon Pegg's character Benji, who had a minor role in the third film, gets a more prominent role in this film. He's in the field helping them. I think they had a really fun team. I think it's interesting what they do with Jeremy Renner's character Brandt, because he had a mission previously where he was supposed to protect Ethan and his wife, and he believed he failed because Ethan's wife Julia died, but come the end we find out that she is alive and okay, and Brandt and Ethan become good friends. But like with a lot of these Mission Impossible films, I think there's a decent amount of conveniences. I mean, the way that things just work out their way kind of pulls me out of the films sometimes. For example, the scene where they have to interrupt that sale and meet with a buyer, and they have to, you know, make the masks to try and look like the person who's buying the weapon, and I think the mask machine breaks, or they can't make the mask in time, so they just hope that the seller hasn't met the buyer before, and it's just like, I hope things work out our way. It's just stuff like that kind of pulls me out of the film. It's just like, And they do that multiple times throughout the series. They do that exact same thing. I hope the seller hasn't met the buyer before. I hope they haven't seen their face. But they do other stuff like that throughout the series that just kind of pulls me out of the films, because I'm like, is that really realistic? It seems like Ethan and his team, things work out for them. There's just so many instances where Ethan and his team hope things work out their way, and they do. Now, sometimes they just barely work out their way, but they work out their way nonetheless. That kind of stuff is really distracting at some points, and when something's just real convenient, it really does pull you out of a film and distracts you. And I think that's why this is in this place. This is the film where it kind of bothered me most. And I don't think this is a super fun film. Like, all the films above this list, I would say, are pretty fun films. They're very entertaining, very enjoyable, but this one has some moments that are kind of boring for me. I wasn't totally engaged the whole time, but nonetheless, this is still a pretty good film. I definitely would recommend it. Number 4 for me is actually going to be the most recent one, The Final Reckoning. Guys, let me tell you, I have never been so affected by a film. Guys, I was like holding my breath and my heart was racing. I was breathing so hard, and come the end of the film, I let out the biggest sigh of relief. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. All of these films, especially Ghost Protocol onwards, do such a great job of putting Ethan in these situations where he could very likely die, where it makes you hold your breath and be like, makes you breathe really fast, makes your heart race. They do such a great job of building tension and making you believe that we could potentially lose this person. They just put Ethan in these situations where you're like, he's just barely making it out. He's just barely surviving. It's like right on the tail. And this film does the best job of that out of all of them. It was great. The biplane sequence, the scene where Ethan goes underwater, he's in the sub and he keeps filling up with water, and things keep getting in his way so he can't get out or get in. But the reason Final Reckoning is here is because really nothing super emotionally powerful like I was expecting. The goodbye scene at the end where the characters don't say anything to each other after the mission is completed. We don't see them talk again. They just meet up and like nod and are like, see you next time. I was kind of hoping for more of an epilogue where the characters talk to each other and tell each other how much they mean to each other, because at this point, You know, starting with the fifth film onward, the IMF team really does start to feel like a family, and you really see the care these characters have for each other. Even like the death of Luther was actually pretty emotional, and I love how he calls and refers to Ethan as a brother. I love how he considers him as a brother. But come the end, it just wasn't really as emotional as I was expecting or wanting it to be. And also, at this point, you know, they're saying a lot of stuff about Ethan is like, they give you the impression that he's like the best of humanity. He's like this perfect person. He's the only person who can be trusted to take care of the entity once they trap it, because everyone else is going to be corrupted by it and want to take that power for themselves. I don't completely buy that. I do like how righteous Ethan is, but realistically, I just don't like how they paint him as like this perfect character and elevate him so highly. Also, there's a big chunk of the film where Ethan is separated from his team. They're completing the same mission but different parts of it, and Ethan's team has to get to where he is at a certain time, and Ethan's trying to get there at the right time. And I just really enjoy when the team is all together and they're working together. I didn't really enjoy too much that big chunk where they were separated. I understand, I did enjoy the film. I'm not saying that part was bad, but it was just a bit boring having Ethan on his own or interacting with these characters that we've never really met before. They don't pop or stand out as much as the other characters like Simon Pegg, Haley Atwell's character, Pom Klementieff's character. I believe I said her name right. But those are the reasons it's in this spot, but I would still say go see this film. Overall, Final Reckoning is a really good conclusion to this franchise. Now we have made it to our top 3, and starting off the top 3, I have Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I would say that Ghost Protocol really lit the spark in regards to the Mission Impossible franchise really taking off and becoming this great franchise. But Rogue Nation fanned the flame. This movie is really stinking good. Like I said earlier, in this film, the IMF team really starts to feel like a family. I love the scene where Ethan kind of goes off on his own and Benji goes to, I forget the location, but he goes to wherever Ethan is and helps him with his mission. And when Ethan's done, he meets up with Benji. He's like, okay, I need you to go. I've gotten what I needed from you. And he's like, no, Ethan, I'm not gonna leave you. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna stay. I really love that scene, probably my favorite scene in the film. We also get the introduction of Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust, who's a fun character. We get some crazy stunts here, like the fight in the theater above on the platform. I don't know what you call that, but the stuff the lights are hanging from and all that. The sequence where Ethan has to go underwater and hold his breath for, I think, 2 minutes, something like that, something crazy like that. Solomon Lane is a really good villain. Once again, this film does a great job of building tension at the end when Benji has that bomb strapped to his chest and Ethan is just there in public talking to Solomon, and like it's crazy, like they're in this public place and people are just going about their day not even knowing that this guy has a bomb strapped to him. Like, what's really going on? It's really crazy to think about. I love Ethan's care for his team and how he's just unwilling to let his teammates die. I really have nothing negative to say about this film, I don't think. I may have to go back and rewatch it, it's been a while. But this is a really stinking good film. The only reason why it's here in the 3rd spot is simply just because I think the films in my number 2 and number 1 spots are just better. And my runner-up is going to be Mission Impossible Fallout. Oh my gosh, it is crazy how good this film is. This film is just so much fun. Tom Cruise, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, they're all just so great in this film. I love the additions of Henry Cavill's character and Vanessa Kirby's character, the White Widow. Super excited to see her as Sue Storm or Invisible Woman in the Fantastic Four in a couple months. Once again, crazy awesome stunts here, like especially the helicopter chase scene at the end, and once again this film just does a great job of building tension. We have Ethan chasing down Henry Cavill in that helicopter chase sequence while Luther's trying to defuse a bomb and Ilsa's trying to stop Benji from being hung. Like, there's so much going on at the end of this film. And another thing about this film, they bring in Ethan's former wife, so she's in the town that's about to be blown up and she's kind of trying to help Luther defuse the bomb, and it just makes it like, it just keeps adding layers of tension and just getting you on the edge of your seat, and you just breathe a heavy sigh of relief come the end of this film. I love how the final scene of this film is Ethan laying on a hospital bed and he wakes up, his whole team is there, and they're like, how close were we? And he says something like, about as close as we normally are, or the usual. That's just so crazy. This film, if you have not seen it, it's so great. Go watch it. I don't know how they managed to top this film with my number one, but number one is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is really a weird title at this point. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is one of the most fun films I've ever watched. It kept me hooked from start to finish, never really a dull or boring moment. Maybe in the beginning there's a couple moments it's a bit slow getting into the story, but once we get to the airport, oh my gosh, it just is go, 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 go. Of course, we have a few sequences that are slower to kind of bridge the gaps between the sequences, but even those are interesting to watch. I think it really does a great job of holding your attention even in those moments. I love how it's one of those stories, a MacGuffin story I believe it's called, where we have a bunch of these different groups of people trying to get the same thing, trying to get this key, the two pieces of this key so they can have control of the entity. I think it's interesting how they bring in AI into this film and they make you wonder what's real, kind of what's not. Is Ethan really doing what the entity wants, or is he not doing what the entity wants? Like, it's really crazy what they do with AI. And another reason I think I really like this film is I think it kind of shows, I guess, well, this one and Final Reckoning showed the dangers of AI. I mean, it's really cool what we can do with AI nowadays, but it kind of scares me the potential AI has to, you know, making people really look like other people, look like they've said things they haven't, been in places they have not been, or they are not. So I really like that as well, but that's just one of the many things I love about this film. Once again, Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt is great, Ving Rhames as Luther Stickle, Simon Pegg as Benji Dunn, love those three. We get Ilsa Faust back, and her death is really emotional, and I was not expecting this heading into this film. Hayley Atwell's character, Grace, such a fun character. She is a standout in this film, and that's one reason I was so excited for Final Reckoning, because I knew she was going to be back, and she's a standout character in this franchise. She's one of my favorites. I think maybe top 3. She was a great addition. And then Pom Klementieff's character and how Ethan spares her and that comes back around. I just loved in Final Reckoning how all these different things came back around, including how Pom Klementieff's character is now part of the team in that one because Ethan spares her life here. There's just so many things about this film I love. We get Vanessa Kirby back as the White Widow. The train sequence at the end where Ethan and Grace have to hop from car to car, and it's going, you know, the bridge is blown up and it's going over the side, and they have to jump from car to car, and they just barely jump in time to each car. It just does such a great job of getting you on the edge of your seat, building tension. I love the car chase where Ethan and Grace are handcuffed and they have to like switch driving and all that. That's really fun to watch. The airport sequence where Ethan first meets Grace and she takes the key and he has to try and get it back while also trying to evade all these people who are coming after him or trying to get the key as well, and Benji has to defuse a bomb while trying to help Ethan know where to go. It's just absolutely insane. And this is the film that actually made me go back and rewatch some of these films. A little story, but I watched the first 3 Mission Impossible films because I heard how great this franchise was, and overall, like I said, I liked them. They were fine films, but nothing really phenomenal, so I didn't really watch 4, 5, and 6. But I was invited to go see the 7th one, this one, and I had so much fun with it. I was so blown away. I absolutely loved it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back and watch 4 through 6 now. And, you know, like I said, I liked 4. I liked 5 even more. I really liked 6, and I love Dead Reckoning Part 1, the 7th one. Even just talking about this film makes me want to watch it, so maybe I'll do that again soon. Maybe I'll do a review. And also the scene where Ethan has to drive the motorcycle off the side of the cliff and deploy a parachute and make it onto the train in time to help Grace. And Grace at this point has joined the team, and she's on the train trying to get the key. She's wearing a mask that makes her look like the White Widow, Vanessa Kirby's character, and the plan goes awry and people are chasing her, and he like crashes through the window of the train just in time to save her. And up until that point, Grace is like hoping that Ethan gets on the train time, and like even before when they're talking about this plan, she's like, you need to be on that train, and like she's so scared. This film just has so many great things about it. I can't really think of one negative about the film, really. I don't recall any instances of convenience that really bothered me, that really stuck out to me, anything that I was like, really? This is just such a great film. And this film also has a lightheartedness to it a little bit. The second part really doubles down on the fact that like entity is putting the whole world in danger. It's kind of taken over. It really feels like the world could end and anyone could die in any moment. But this film has that too, but it has a lightheartedness and a levity to it, and just everything this franchise does so well. This film has everything this franchise does so well, and it does it the best, I think. So that's why Dead Reckoning Part 1 is my favorite Mission Impossible film. So there you have it, my ranking of all 8 Mission Impossible films. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Some videos I have coming up are a Lilo and Stitch review, I believe me and my friends are gonna go see The Last Rodeo, that Angel Studios film starring Neil McDonough. I believe we're gonna do a review of that. And also my Incredible Hulk review should be out by the end of this week, or maybe early next week, sometime then. But those are a few upcoming videos I have planned, so I hope y'all stick around for those, and I'll see y'all in the next video.